Well, good afternoon or whatever time of day it is where you are when you're watching this. It's Pete from Pete's Plastic Playground. Welcome back. It's been a while, good few weeks now. Sorry for the absence. I'll send a note from my mum, but work's been chaos this year so far. It's been really busy, which is a good thing really. It's a good problem to have. We've been super busy, but notwithstanding that, my YouTube viewers are never far from my thoughts, and thank you for all the comments and likes and so on, and subscriptions that you've put in since we last spoke. Just a couple of things to tell you about since we were last here. I will give you a closer look in a little while, but I mentioned before how keen I was to build the new Airfix Wellington MkVIII. Well, I've done it. It's here. It's finished. It's on the workbench, all done. So I've been doing a bit of work. I've been able to find some spare time. I'll take the camera off the tripod in a little while, and I'll give you a close-up look at it so you can see. But it's quite funny actually, because I thought it was finished, and I put some pictures of it on Twitter. And I came out here this afternoon and looked at the box. I thought, what's that under the under the cockpit? I'd missed an aerial, and I'd missed a couple of pipes on the underside of the wings, which I think are fuel filling pipes. I'm not sure what they are, but maybe one of you will know. But anyway, they've been duly painted and fitted this afternoon, so I can now look you in the eye and say that the plane is absolutely done. The model is finished and complete and ready for you to have a good old look at in a minute. So there it is, all done, and I'll as I say, I'll give you a close-up view shortly. I mentioned Twitter. I did put it on Twitter the day before yesterday, and Steve the Cabbie, you said hello on Twitter, and I know you subscribed, so a warm hello to you. Good to see you. Hope is all well. The main thing I've done, I suppose, since we last spoke is with a mate, and a good mate of mine, Nick. We had a day out down at Bovington Tank Museum at the Southwest Model Show in the middle of February. I think it's February the 16th. And it was a foul day. There'd been a storm. It wasn't Storm Clara, it was Storm Dennis on that Sunday we drove down there, and to be fair, it was raining, but it wasn't that bad, and we drove down there and back quite safely. So I picked him up at 8, and we drove down, got there just after 10, and it was surprisingly busy. In fact, a lot of the people that were there said how they were surprised it had been so busy. And apparently Saturday, the day we went on the Sunday, and on the Saturday apparently it was absolutely heaving. So I'm glad we went on the Sunday and we were able to have a good look round, although it was quite busy. This has become a tradition for us. We've been for 3 years in a row now, and I think it's one of my favourite model shows down there actually, because not just the models, you've got the tank museum to look round as well with some of the fantastic exhibits that they've got there. I'm particularly taken by the fact that they've got a Churchill Bridge Lane tank, and they've got a really nice old American half track, which I'm very taken by, and of course the Tiger tanks that are there are absolutely spectacular. But it's a well laid out museum. It's well worth a visit, highly recommended by me. It's full of interesting stuff and a decent day out. And of course outside there's an arena where you know, they can run the tanks around and really let you see them being put through their paces outside. They've got a very good running track where you can sit on a raised embankment and watch the tanks being displayed there. So Tiger Day is very good apparently. I've not been to Tiger Day when they actually run the Tiger tanks, so that would be pretty good. I'd like to go to that one day. Anyway, while I was there at the museum during the model show, I did buy a couple of things. I'll just show you this. This is a little MDF tool rack, which I brought it off, I think it was a stall held by the Friends of the Museum, and it was only a tenner, but a nice laser cut tool rack. which I've now glued together with some PVA glue. And oh, one of the covers of the tweezers has fallen off. But no, I'm really chuffed with this. Actually, it's more or less, I've more or less done away with the old Humbrol workstation now, because although I like using that, it's nicer to have a bit more room just on the workbench with a big cutting mat, and then keep everything at hand in this. So I'm pleased with this. And I said to the bloke who sold it to me, I said, to be quite honest with you, I said, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, a tenner, I could make it for that. But when I stopped and thought about it, by the time you bought the MDF and sort of cut it, templated it, whatever you want to do, and then put it together, I think you'd end up spending that much and an awful lot of time doing it, especially to get it anywhere near this standard. It's been laser cut and it's all very, very accurate. And oh, would you believe it, look, I'm filming and my missus is ringing me, so bear with me. She'll shout in a minute to tell me tea's ready. So anyway, that's the one of the purchases, is this nice MDF tool rack, which I'm dead pleased with. And I decided you couldn't make it for a tenner, and certainly for the time. So I thought that was a really reasonable price actually, and I wouldn't mind. They had a bigger one there as well, which I think was about 15 quid, which I think might have been more for paints. So maybe I might try and get a hold of one of those. I've seen them on Amazon as well, but I'd rather spend my money with another modelling organisation or somebody who's you know, sort of part of our hobby. There were some stalls down there, some stands. I brought some bits from Mr. Models, I think it is. Yeah, Mr. Models. So I got me. Usually I get my Tamiya thinners there because it's only a £5. What else did I buy from him? Can't remember. Oh, but I did buy a couple of models anyway. I brought this Sherman crab just because I like it really. I just think it's an interesting subject, and it's from the new Airfix Classics range. And there's one of those on show down at the museum. So I'll build that one. I've got an idle evening or however long it takes. This is the last thing I expected to buy because. I don't know, I've just never been clamouring to buy one, but now I've got one. It's the Airfix 172 Boeing Fortress, the RAF Fortress, which to be honest with you, I can't remember the name of the guy who was selling it, but it was £15. Now to my knowledge these are about 27, 30 quid usually, and I thought, oh, that's an awful lot of kit for £15, and so I was tempted and I bought it. So it's going in the stash, and the more I look at it and the more I read about it and the more I find out about it, the more sort of taken with it I am actually. So that's the old RAF version Flying Fortress, now in the stash. And I don't know or not whether you can see on my computer at the moment, there's a picture of a couple of Harriers in 1/72 scale that somebody had built, and I think this was a model club from Hertfordshire or maybe even Harrow. I know it began with H, but one thing generally that I noticed on that day was how friendly all the people, all the exhibitors were, and all the traders. Really very, very nice, friendly people, and happy to have a chat. And this guy particularly with these Harriers was very keen to share his hints and tips, and he even picked up that GR1 Harrier and let me take a little photograph of underneath, how he'd done it underneath. So I've got in the mood for building a Harrier, and so from the stash I pulled this, which I bought on the local Facebook marketplace from a lady whose teenage kid didn't want to buy it, so I got this for a £5. And inside this box are two new and unstarted Harriers. One is a GR7 from number 20 Squadron in Ahmed Al Jaber Air Base in Kuwait, 2003, and the other kit is a Sea Harrier FA2 from 800 Naval Air Squadron at Bovington, and it's in the markings that that represent the end of that squadron, and what squadron being disbanded. So I'm in the mood to do a Harrier, so I'm going to do the GR7 because because I seem to have done lots of Sea Harriers in my time. So I'm in a Harrier kind of mood. So this evening, Saturday evening, I shall be out here and I'm going to start the GR7 Harrier. It's been a good day so far today. Reading have beaten Barnsley at home 2-0, so that's we're more or less kind of safe now. I fixed a leak in the kitchen, so that's good news. And as I say, I've finished the Wellington. So what I'm going to do now is take the camera out of its tripod, and so hold on to something tight, otherwise you'll fall over. And I'm going to just try and give you a little close-up view of this plane. So just hold tight there. Sorry, you can probably see up my nose now, can't you? I'm trying to turn the camera around, but I don't seem to be able to. So let's do it another way. Let's hold the camera there so you can see. There we are. There's the old Wellington. Look. Now, one aspect of this model for me that I'm really pleased with is I'm pleased enough with the cockpit canopy to close in on it, and that's the best I've ever done. I brought an Edward mask for it, and do you know what? I didn't use it. I just did it by hand, carefully as I go. Oh look, there's the aerial that I'd forgot to stick on, but it's on there now. So anyway, there it is, my Wellington submarine hunter with its aerials on the roof. Can you see those? I don't know if you can see those above behind the where am I going? See those aerials sticking up there, and some more on the side of the fuselage that you have to stick through the decals, which was fun and games. The paint job went reasonably well. I was quite chuffed when I took off the masking, and it had all worked out quite well. So there it is. There's my Mark VIII Wellington all done. I've got depth charges. I don't know if you can see in there. The depth charges are visible in there, and I've managed to put those two pipes on today as well. So there it is. I'm going to put you back in the tripod now. Sorry about my finger going across. So that's it, folks. Just a quick visit today. I'll keep you posted with the Harrier, and I haven't got any trips or visits lined up at the moment. I don't think there are any model shows coming up. For me, it's railways this time of year. I don't know if I've ever said, but I'm into trains as well, and there's a couple of diesel galas coming up. The Chinner and Princess Risborough Railway have got a good one coming up in March. And then I always go to the Swanage Gala, which this year is in at the end of April. Pardon me. So I'll be going down to Swanage for that. But I shall still be out here, and I'll try and come back soon and say hello. So for now, from Pete's Plastic Playground, all the best. Thanks for looking in, and take care. Happy modelling, everyone. Cheers.